When you're getting into a new hobby, I'm betting most people like myself try to talk to other more experienced people who do the same stuff to learn as much as you can. But you'll quickly notice that in any hobby or space, there are two types of experienced people. There are those who enjoy talking and teaching someone everything they know because to them, showing someone what you love is almost the same as rediscovering it for the first time. But sometimes you'll come across people in whatever field you're interested in who seem to dislike the idea of assisting others, who criticize every slight mistake you make and seem to solely exist to raise the barrier of entry. These are the people that I'd call gatekeepers. Gatekeepers are true elitists who love something so much they have this weird desire to keep it to themselves and the other people who have been interested in it for a long time. Gatekeepers practically exist in anything you can think of. From music to artwork to gaming or even things like liquor and spirits, there always seems to be someone like this no matter where you go. And all of this got me thinking, why do people gatekeep things? Is there any scientific answer to these behaviors? Are they more commonly seen in certain hobbies than others, or is this a universal thing? Is there any benefit to gatekeeping as a whole? And ladies and gentlemen, how do people engage in the art of gatekeeping? But what exactly is gatekeeping? I think we all know it when we see it, but it's a bit hard to place my finger on what exactly a gatekeeper is. So I think it's important to get ourselves a dictionary definition. Britannica defines the term gatekeeper as someone who guards a gate. Can you fucking believe that shit? But also it can be used figuratively as a teacher who considers themselves to be the gatekeepers of knowledge. This is obviously the definition I think we're all using here, and an interesting precedent that this definition sets is the extremely important concept of specifically gatekeeping knowledge. But thankfully, people who specifically try to prevent you from learning knowledge are a bit out of luck. Since recently, 90% of developed countries out there have access to the internet, which is grossly underutilized in my opinion. The very existence of Google means that you have access to the entire world's history of information right in your pockets at any given moment. How the fuck can you gatekeep information when I can just look it up on YouTube and figure it out myself? But I hope some of you correctly identified a problem with my statement. Some information goes a bit above a Google search. Sure, I can just look up the equation for dark matter, but there's no way someone like me can understand that without a competent teacher. So instead of using a dictionary definition that I personally find outdated, throughout this video I want to make our own definition that's a bit more all-encompassing. The first change I feel the need to make is that a gatekeeper can be considered the gatekeeper of knowledge and understanding. I know it may seem minor, but we'll make a few bigger changes throughout the video. But now let's go into the second part of this. What are the most commonly gatekept mediums? Certain hobbies seem to be a bit more infested with these vermin, maybe as a result of the hobby being old and elitist, or maybe they just ran everyone else off. Well then, why don't we play a quick game of what's the asshole gonna say next? Here's the way we play. See this dumbass? He decided to wear a t-shirt with oh no, a logo on the front, and here comes our lead protagonist, who just happens to be an expert on the band's music. Now what's he gonna say? Option A, kill yourself. Option B, I like that band too. Option C, a racial slur. And of course, who can forget option D? Name 5 songs. Your answer please. It was option C. Alright, enough of that. I'm sure you get the point. For some reason, wearing a music t-shirt means you're legally obligated to have memorized every album and EP the band has ever put out, and not knowing this information will send the other person into some kind of uncontrollable rage. Music is by far one of the most gatekept mediums on the planet, and obviously some genres more than others. I can't really think of any pop musicians being gatekept because that seems like an oxymoron, but Jesus Christ, don't even consider talking to someone with a punk or metal t-shirt on. Dude, I once went to a show wearing an Iron Maiden shirt, which is some pretty classic old school metal that I grew up listening to, and I got fucking shit on, man, because they thought I was young and assumed I'd never listened to them. The reason I think it's funny to bring that stuff up is because punk and metal were built on this concept of not caring what other people think, and yet now if you don't listen to 37 different fucking black metal bands that use 8-string guitars or some shit, you're just some kind of fake fan. Just my 2 cents. My point here is that instead of gatekeeping knowledge or information, people are gatekeeping you from something because of a lack of knowledge or experience. And of course, these two go wonderfully hand in hand. Can't get the knowledge due to these pricks, but you also can't fit in because of not knowing said things. Also, under no circumstances should you ever talk to a Tool fan ever. Now let's look at another medium that's gatekept, and we have one of my absolute favorite methods of money laundering. Artwork. Artwork is one of the all-time greatest examples of gatekeeping, but they go about it in a different way. Where music is usually gatekept through obscure knowledge, artwork is more often than not gatekept by names and dollar signs. People in this community who aren't just laundering money and getting tax write-offs will most likely choose the most hideous goddamn piece of art I've ever seen because they recognize a name or a bigger price tag. And fucking, let me level with you for a second here. The most expensive painting ever sold was $560 million, and the Mona Lisa is estimated to be at about $860 million. Now look at these two images. Now we just use the snip tool and boom, mine. And on top of that, man, these fucking suck. And okay, I get it if you're an art enthusiast, but let me make this easier and you tell me if this seems fair. A private jet with all of its services for 70 years, $120 million. Now we'll take a generous estimate and say a private island, hopefully devoid of anyone named Jeffrey, and all of its many needed projects, $100 million. So now we're at $220 million. Now I know exactly what you'd spend your money on, you filthy degenerate, so I've done the math for you. If bought in bulk for a meager $10 million, you can acquire 1.1 million views pods of your choice. puffs. That's over 270 million puffs, you nicotine-addicted freak. Oh, and then of course, last but not least, 100 Lamborghini Huracans. Now on the other side, a true equal offer. Just a dude. That's it. Back on track here, let's add to our definition. People also gatekeep you out of something due to a lack of money or an associated name. Now the next hobby I want to look at comes with a controversial take, and that's that people who are into fashion have the worst fashion taste I have ever fucking seen. I actually doubt that it's very controversial to say that 85% of designer fashion genuinely looks worse than what you'd find at a Walmart. Now let's play ourselves another little game here. I'm going to show you some products, and you're going to tell me how much they cost. Do your best to figure out exactly how much. Okay, you ready? Product 1, camouflage bag. Looks like shit to be honest, but you know what, lock your price guess in here. $4 grand for a bag. Alright, I guess maybe it might be a nice material, might be durable, who knows. But how about this outfit right here? This is a literally just 2014 Soulja Boy outfit, I swear to God, but I can promise you he didn't pay $3,500 for this. Now how about this? Does this look familiar to anyone? I'm onto you fuckers. You just googled Tanjiro from Demon Slayer and stole that piece 1-to-1. Don't tell me you didn't, I know you did. And oh, okay, this one's a bit more practical. You ever just been walking around and you really need a chessboard and you don't have one? Just wear the chessboard on your clothes. Problem solved. $7,500 please. I'm not even adding anything to the definition here. I just wanted to shit on fashion for absolutely no reason. The fact that people see this and think, damn dude, that's drip is insane to me. This is literally just the Minecraft dirt texture. Fucking insanity, man. Next is another obnoxious group to deal with, and that's fitness gatekeepers. First and foremost, I want to say that everyone has to start off somewhere, and fitness is the one arena where any form of gatekeeping is usually called out very quickly. In the fitness world, there are 3 layers of gatekeeping. The first 2 are in the gym themselves. Some people think it's a great idea to make fun of people who don't know what to do at the gym because no one is there to teach them. And to be fair, it is necessary to stop people from doing all this crazy shit that you'd see on a Planet Fitness, but you'd be shocked about how many people would just sit in a corner, criticize someone's form as a beginner, say something to their friend, and offer 0 assistance. Don't be that guy. The next layer of Dante's Inferno are the people who gatekeep appearances. There's always a small divide between the crowd of shredded guys who have been in the gym for years and the overweight crowd, and some people will be extremely helpful with advice and others seem to judge you even though you're there for quite literally the same exact reason as them. Don't be that guy. However, the one part of the gatekeeping that actually gets seriously dangerous are the people who fail to disclose some pretty damn crucial information. The whole fake natural pandemic is something that's been pretty well documented recently, but some people still fail to see through it. To anyone who wants to compete with the motherfuckers on Instagram, 90% of people don't have the genes to look that way without any form of PEDs. So naturally, when people aren't getting the results they want, they are going to turn to PEDs, steroids, all that sort of shit. All because someone didn't want to admit something. For some reason, people who are so obviously on steroids fail to disclose that there is a natural plateau to muscle growth. A person with a very lean body type and someone like this can put in the exact amount of work and have very different results, but in my opinion, it's equally impressive. And gatekeeping fitness only leads to people doing PEDs with lifelong consequences. Seriously, read up on this shit sometime, man. It's fucking scary. So let's append our definition here. Gatekeepers can also use image to exclude you from something. Now finally, my returning viewers, we are heading back to some familiar territory with gaming, yet another community filled with elitists. Gamers tend to gatekeep in a large variety of ways. The first and most common form of gatekeeping is a divide between quote-unquote real gamers and not real gamers. I'm sure everyone watching this would hesitate to call someone who exclusively plays mobile games a gamer per se, but I also see absolutely no reason why they wouldn't be. To join the exclusive club of real gamers, you need to put in a certain amount of hours or own a console and just be a guy. For some reason, guys low-key hate calling women gamers, which is just weird. Now, the second way people gatekeep gaming, I admittedly sometimes fall into, which is showing a disdain for people who don't appreciate the old classics, or as I'm coining it, a retro gaming gatekeeper. I am 100% guilty of this because I seriously don't get how someone can talk about the best games ever without playing some of the old classics. But I also acknowledge that it's not really a fair way to look at things. Retro gaming for sure isn't for everyone, and unless you want to go through the pain in the ass that is legally emulating something, it's becoming much harder to play old school games. But at the same time, how can you, someone who's never played Silent Hill 2, talk about the best horror games out there? You get where I'm coming from? I'm gonna avoid the concept of gaming now versus then because I made a whole damn video about that and I don't want to retread those points, but the concept of time period seems to be a constant across all gatekeeping. When it comes to music, how many old people do you know that almost refuse to listen to modern music and legitimately believe that you have horrible taste if you like it? When it comes to sports, how many old heads still preach the good word of athletes who retired damn near 30 years ago? There will always be things that you need to learn from the past, and I highly advise anyone out there to try older music and movies and games and all that sort of stuff. But people who want to say that your opinion isn't validated because you're a certain age are just stupid, and it's a horrible cop-out to actually proving a valid point. I'm sorry, this one's a bit personal, that always pisses me off. But let's add to our definition here. Gatekeepers can use age and time periods to gatekeep you. Now to finish out gaming, let's talk about the other half of the gatekeeping problem, which are those who talk down on less skilled players.
Get lost! Get lost! I'm pushing you. Oh my God! This guy's running out!
Trash talk is always a constant throughout video games, but this extends to almost every part of the medium. If someone's the bottom of the leaderboard, you're told to just uninstall the game. If you're in a speedrunning group and you're asking about easy methods to learn certain tricks, you get told to quit the game. People in every instance of gatekeeping just love talking down to other people, something brought to the absolute extreme in gaming. So let's take our final definition based on what we've gathered up to this point. Gatekeepers are defined as teachers who consider themselves the gatekeepers of knowledge and understanding. And now our secondary definition, members of a community who prevent access to something based off discrimination towards one's lack of knowledge, lack of money, physical image, age or time period, or low skill. Now that we have ourselves a proper definition, let's ask question 2. Why the fuck do people do this? Gatekeeping isn't exactly an entirely new thing. Historically speaking, gatekeeping has even extended to something as arbitrary as an accent. If you listen to any media from the 50s, you'll notice that people sound really weird. That's because to even seem slightly upper class or make it into movies, radios, or music, you had to have what we call the transatlantic accent. The transatlantic accent is this super weird hybrid between the East Coast and European pronunciations. Really stupid, to be honest.
In 1921, radio fans were all earphones listening to a pioneer station, WHN.
Now thankfully we dropped that dumbass accent, but my point here is that people have always been gatekept from things historically, so surely there's some sort of logical reasoning for it. And as with any question I'm asking, I'll usually aim to find a scientific source or two on the matter, but for this I could find absolutely nothing. Perhaps it's because it's such a hard thing to pin down, or maybe it's a bit too obscure, but regardless, all I have to work with is just speculation. In my eyes, there are a few logical explanations for gatekeeping. The first one I thought of was identity and a general sense of belonging. I'm sure I don't really need to say it, but humans have a really strange tendency to make hobbies or even general attributes into personality traits. If anything, to feel unique and have a sense of personal identity, but also to be able to identify with other people who share that hobby. I truly believe that gatekeeping is just the very extreme end of this. Once again, I have absolutely no studies or anything to back this up, but I'd bet a substantial amount of money that people who gatekeep hobbies are afraid of their interests becoming too common, and thus no longer having something that they perceive as unique. Now the next line of thinking I came up with for this was power dynamics. We're going to take a quick detour here into very beginner psychology with the teachings of a man named Alfred Adler. Adler was a psychologist heavily inspired by Sigmund Freud, the man responsible for creating most of psychology's most basic principles. Now, for those of you who haven't had the pleasure of studying psychology, it's important to mention that philosophy and psychology are sort of hand in hand, and as a result, there are a lot of questions that we don't have definite answers to in both fields. The most important example of this is the major question of nature versus nurture. Are humans driven by an ingrained genetic set of traits, or perhaps it's the environment that shapes them? Now, the reason I'm blabbering on about this is because Adler believed in a healthy mix between the two. He thought that people could be heavily shaped by the environment they're raised in, but also believes in many things being genetic constants. Now this brings us to Adler's superiority complex. The superiority complex is the inherent belief that you are superior to others. But Adler speculates that superiority complexes are the direct result of every human being born with an inferiority complex. Adler believed that all humans were born into thinking that they are lesser than others, but then some people, due to their environment or their own free will, overcompensate and develop feelings of superiority. Now let's connect this to gatekeeping. Would you care to guess the key symptoms in the superiority complex? Belittling or dismissing other people's opinions and contributions, competing for attention and admiration, behaving condescendingly towards others they deem inferior. Sounds pretty damn similar to me. So now we have two possible explanations, and the last one that I could think of was potentially fear, which is pretty broad to say the least. It's fair to say that most people are scared of something even if they can't really define it, and I think the least commonly talked about fear is the fear of change, and some people content with the current status quo are naturally more resistant to change in general. This isn't another psychological cause of gatekeeping, but it's more importantly its most prominent application. Gatekeeping can be used to restrict access or information, thus keeping new ideas from replacing the old ones. I'm sure there are a few explanations to theorize about, and if I missed any that you feel noteworthy, please leave them in the comments below so your fellow viewers can read and discuss their opinions, but I think these are our most likely causes. So now we have a good definition and a list of likely explanations. So now it's time to ask another interesting question. Is gatekeeping beneficial in any way imaginable? Which initially, when researching this video, I was dead set in thinking that gatekeeping had absolutely no place in any part of society. But now I think this question is a little bit more nuanced than I might have thought. In 90% of situations, people gatekeeping are truly just immature pricks trying to feel like they're better than you, but there is that 1 in 10 chances that the gatekeeping is actually useful. Gatekeeping can be used in a professional setting like sales to ensure that the practice stays as clean as possible. A car salesman and a wife beater is absolutely unheard of outside of used cars. Those motherfuckers don't care at all. But that's a situation where I feel that gatekeeping is an absolute necessity. Any profession that directly benefits from its outside image damn near needs to be gatekept. Another example where gatekeeping makes a lot of sense are industries that are quite literally kept alive by gatekeeping. Premium watches such as a Rolex or a Patek Philippe cost cost about 5 to 10% of the sticker price to produce, so you are literally just paying for the logo. Same thing goes with cigars or premium liquors. Gatekeeping is what keeps people paying $35 a stick for a cigar. And my final example is that gatekeeping can also draw more people into it unintentionally. Exhibit A for me is one of my oldest hobbies, learning the guitar. When I was 12 or so, I never really had a huge interest in the instrument until I saw videos of people like Van Halen doing some incredible shit on stage. So I decided to learn how to play. And I feel like everyone who does this knows the feeling of picking up a guitar and sounding like that one video of DJ Khaled. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
Gives you inspiration as well.
When someone tells you that you have to learn all this crazy stuff and then shows you just how large the gap is between you and the top, that only motivates some people. Clearly, gatekeeping comes in many forms, some more severe than others, and sometimes rarely even being outright beneficial. But it's fair to say that gatekeeping is generally negative to a community or a hobby, and yet it seems to be an inevitability based on a variety of factors. So is there a solution to any of this? Well, I'd certainly say so, and it comes in the form of you. In my opinion, anyone with a decent amount of knowledge in something should at least feel slightly obligated to share said knowledge. Obviously, everyone isn't a teacher, but seriously, if you have decent teaching skills, you can make an incredible difference. People out there who play instruments, imagine if YouTube tutorials didn't exist and you were forced to attend lessons just because people gatekept the knowledge. In the era of YouTube where you can make anything for free and learn anything for free, sharing your knowledge now has more reach than ever, which single-handedly makes gatekeeping something impossible. Moreover, I would argue that nearly every single reason I listed for people gatekeeping are completely stupid. Meeting someone with a shared interest should be grounds to talk about it and make a connection, not some weird reason to be an asshat. But remember folks, when you see someone gatekeeping something, don't say anything. Just look at them, point, and laugh, and make them feel very insecure. Well everyone, this has been a interesting project. This has been my attempt to sort of break out of the mold of gaming that I have been set in for a while, just kind of experimenting, seeing how this does. And I do quickly want to clear up a little bit of confusion with my last video. I had to remove, I shouldn't say I had to, I chose to do it. For whatever reason, the YouTube algorithm like cucked that video, even though it was pretty good in my opinion. I love the way it turned out, but I am in the process of trying to build a portfolio, and I know it seems kind of indecent and sellouty to take something down because it's not doing well, but if I want to take this professionally, that involves eventually getting a sponsor, and having such a big drop would hurt my career like insurmountably. So I plan on putting that video up at some point, but for now it's going into the archives. If someone has an unlisted link for it, good for you. You can share it around if you want. And it might be a little bit before my next video. I am working on a pretty big project that I was planning on saving for a long time, but I've just been getting really into it and I feel like I can't wait any longer. It's driving me insane. So get ready for like maybe even like an hour plus length video. I have no idea. It's gonna be crazy. As for the time being though, I want to do a bit more channel engagement just to give back to you guys who have been supporting me so unbelievably much with my last couple of videos. Firstly, I want to do at least like a mini Q&A at the end of every video just to sort of answer some questions, connect with you guys a little bit. So any questions you have for me, leave them down below. They can be as stupid or serious as you want. I will answer them honestly. I'll try to do like 5 or 10 at the end of every video as an outro. Next, if you have any video suggestions for me, leave them down below. I will look at them and I will consider them and probably call them stupid and write them off, but if I see something that is an absolute banger, I will write that shit down. So if you have anything that you really want me to cover, just let me know. And lastly, everybody, you all know the deal. Any and all support would be amazing, but no one can force you, and I will see you all in the next one.